soon as I saw it kind of drop over the wall there, I just, this rush of like so many emotions hit, like, holy, I just hit a walk-off home run. Oh wait, that's the record. Like, it was a whole lot of things at once.
Welcome to episode 326 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. Yet another wild week for baseball in our province, so let's get right to it with the news headlines, and we'll start in the pros. And what a start it was for Eric Hartman in his minor league career. The St. Albert native and Dogs Academy grad has been named the Canadian Baseball Network's Minor League Player of the Week after opening up the weekend with a 2-run dinger for the Augusta Green Jackets Friday night. On Saturday, he picked up a single, then capped off his weekend with this on Sunday.
Hartman drives it deep out to right field, at the track, the wall, it's gone! Walk-off 2-run homer. Eric Hartman sends the folks home happy.
Hartman is now hitting .300 with 2 homers, 4 RBI, and a stolen base in 5 games. A couple of other big performances to highlight as the Single A, High A, and Double A seasons kicked off over the weekend. Innisfail native and Sylvan Lake Gulls alum Nathan Fluelling made his pro debut with the Charleston River Dogs, picking up his first hit on Sunday.
2-2, there goes Perez, pitches grounded through the left side for a base hit. Perez around second, heading to third, and the ball gets through, all the way towards the track. Perez scores. Fluelling slams on the brakes around second base.
Fluelling is hitting .063 with a trio of walks in his first 4 games. Former Dog and fellow River Dog prospect Jack Lyons also made his debut over the weekend. He then went on to pick up his first 2 hits of the season on Tuesday. Higher up in the minors, Matt Tugboat Wilkinson made his season debut in the Lake County Captain's home opener Friday. The Dogs product allowed just an unearned run on 3 hits and 3 walks while striking out 5 in 3 innings of work. And Alejo Lopez is hitting like he normally does in AAA with the Las Vegas Aviators. The Dogs alum is slicing at a .400 clip with 4 RBI in 15 plate appearances. On the college front, our top 5 list for the week is once again impressive with some new names included. Before we get there, we have to shout out Bruno, Saskatchewan's Cam Marshak. Last week, we highlighted how fellow Baseball Sask alum Corey Waters hit for the cycle in a wild 23-22 McCook win over Colby. Now, at the time, we didn't have the box score, and as it turns out, Marshak, who plays with Colby, also hit for the cycle in that same game, finishing it up going 4 for 6 with a 3-run scored, 2 RBI, and a walk. Head to SaskatchewanDugoutStories.com as Ian has the full tale, including quotes from both Waters and Marshak. As for the rest of the college scene, we have to start with Dogs Academy and Okotoks dog slugger Logan Grant, who continues his onslaught on baseballs. The Bellevue University utility man had 2 more dingers over the weekend to bring his season total to 14, and as it turns out, he set the record for most career home runs in program history with 45, and yes, counting. He'll be joining us in just a few minutes. Strathmore native and Weber Academy alum Sawyer Jensen picked up his second win of the season with Trinidad State. He allowed no runs on 3 hits and 2 walks while striking out 8 in 6 innings of work in an 8-1 romp over Otero College. AHP alum Cole Huebner is back at it again. He picked up his 4th win of the campaign with a strong 5-inning performance in Indian Hill's 19-0 shellacking of Southwestern. Huebner allowed no runs on 2 hits with 3 walks and 7 strikeouts. Also on the bump, Vauxhall Academy grad Shea McTavish was lights out for the University of Pikeville over the weekend. He threw a 7-inning complete game shutout in a 3-0 win over St. Andrews. He allowed just 2 hits and a walk while striking out 8. And what a season it's been for Calgary's Luke Wilson at Miles Community College. He homered in back-to-back games against North Dakota State College of Science over the weekend and is now hitting .442 on the season with 4 homers and 24 RBI in 22 games. Heading over to the CCBC now, and it's still a dogfight in the early going this season. UFV leads the pack at 9-3, while PBA's moved up to 8-4, and TRU sits at 7-5. PBA jumped up after a 4-game sweep of Victoria over the weekend. They put up a total of 52 runs in those 4 games, led by Justin Scott, who now has 3 homers and 13 RBI in 8 games this season. The other big series this weekend was a home-and-home between the University of Calgary Dinos and Edmonton Collegiate Hawks, and apparently home field was not an advantage as EC won both games in Calgary while the Dinos won both in Edmonton. The Dinos are now 4-4 in the season while the Hawks are 4-8. This coming weekend, PBA and the Hawks are both on bye weeks, while the Dinos are at home to VIU. Now on to this week's guests, and we'll start with the record breaker. We've been fortunate getting to know Logan Grant over the years through his various stops at Vauxhall and Dogs Academy, as well as the Sylvan Lake Gulls, Swift Current 57s, and for the last 2 seasons, the WCBL champion Okotoks Dogs. He's been a monster in college as well, first at Bismarck State and the last 3 seasons at Bellevue University. Grant is now the Bruins' all-time home runs leader with 45 after a walk-off blast over the weekend. We caught up with him after the excitement finally slowed down. Logan, thanks so much for joining us once again, and first off, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
How have the last few days been for you, particularly on that phone? Because I can only imagine the notifications have been nutty.
Yeah, some old friends reaching out and some old coaches and obviously, current players and everything. It's been a lot, but, it's a pretty cool thing to be on this end of it, so.
I can only imagine. So take us back to maybe even the start of the season. Like, was this something that was even on your radar at all?
It definitely was. Obviously, a couple of guys in the fall were, talking about it. Kind of pushing me a little bit, like, hey, like you're kind of getting close. And I kind of thought about it, and I tried to, kind of put it in the back of my mind and just not really think a whole lot. Obviously, putting that pressure on it, could have made that a whole lot harder to do. I was really trying to just, think of it more as like it'd be cool to happen, and if it doesn't happen, it's not a big deal.
When did it kind of dawn on you that, hey, maybe this is something that is feasible? And it's one thing to do it by the end of the season, but you've done it, a month into the year kind of thing.
Yeah. Honestly, I really, really was not thinking about it a whole lot until I think probably home run number 11 or 12. So I was a couple away from tying, 2 or 3 away from tying. And I was kind of like, oh, like this is going to happen. I think like if I keep going the way I'm going, then this could be reality. So.
Well, and you went on a pretty crazy tear there. I think you had home runs in like 7 straight and 8 out of 10, and the list kind of goes on and on the last little bit. What was working for you when things were going really, really well there for that big stretch there?
Honestly, nothing. I'm not a very big thinker in the box. I kind of hit best, and I just kind of go in there and just try to hit the ball hard, and you can't really control anything other than finding good contact, and what happens. So just trying to still say it like simple and, just stick with what I've been doing for, a couple of years now. It's just finding that barrel, nice smooth swing, and let things happen. So
you mentioned that like 2 or 3 away, you kind of started to go, this was a possibility. Did you feel pressure as one came after the other? It definitely started to kind of pile up a little bit. I think tying it was when, a couple guys in the dugout were, talking to me like, dude, like you're 1 away, like talking about, kind of the future of like breaking it. And that was kind of when I really felt like that pressure kind of hit me. And then we were up by a bunch in that game. We ended up winning 30-2 that game that I tied it. And, so I came out early, get some other guys in, and I think that was really big just to kind of watch and enjoy those guys getting in who don't get a lot of those chances, and obviously scoring 30 runs is pretty fun. So I think going into that next game, I just completely blanked it from my mind. I said, you know what, I'm just going to let it happen when it does, and there's a plan, and we'll see what happens. Was it sort of in the dugout? Was it kind of like the Ovechkin watch where it's like, okay, he's going to beat Gretzky? Was there that kind of vibe in that game leading up to the one that broke the record?
Yeah. In the dugout, you guys were really trying to not say anything to me, and trying to stay away from it, obviously, because they wouldn't want to have the same pressure. Like, it's a lot having it on there and thinking about it when you go in the box. So. I think there was probably a lot of it going on when I was, on deck or in the field and not in the dugout. But I didn't hear a whole lot of it from them because, I think they just tried to, keep it away from me. So
the homer you hit ends up being a walk-off. Did it set in for you in the moment as you're rounding the bases?
Yeah, I hit it, and my first thought was, okay, that's in the gap. We're gonna tie the game, and it kept kind of going, and it kept going, and then as soon as I saw it kind of drop over the wall there, I like just this rush of like so many emotions hit. Like, holy, I just hit a walk-off home run. Oh wait, that's the record. Like it was a whole lot of things at once. So
How cool was that mob scene after?
that was awesome. That was really cool. And obviously, seeing all the guys there fired up, obviously, to win the game, but, for me as well, I've played with a lot of these guys for, 3 years now here, a lot of guys 2 years. It was pretty cool. And, to have my parents there, my grandma there, it was great.
That is fantastic. Looking back on it, you can kind of breathe now, and obviously you've been able to chat with fam and that kind of thing. What's it mean to you now to have your name etched in those record books?
It's pretty awesome. I mean, it's not something, I ever really thought about. Obviously I was pretty big into hockey growing up, and I kind of look back now and it's like, well, like, baseball wasn't a huge part of my life until I was about 14, 15. So now it's pretty cool to, see that. And Riley Bosch, the previous home run king, he actually texted me the next morning and, said, hey, here's your throne. Like, now go make sure nobody can break your record. And, that was a pretty cool feeling, to hear from him, long time Bruin. He shows us a lot of support. So it's pretty cool to see the support from, the Bellevue community and obviously Riley and everybody. So
I'm glad you brought up Riley, because I was looking through the record book and I realized that he had 44. He's also a former Dog. So how cool is that connection to the fact that I know Bellevue's got that Alberta connection, but to be able to have that with him is got to be pretty special.
Yeah, it's really cool. He's been around quite a bit, during the season and practices and everything. And, we kind of had that little bit of a connection, obviously, through Okotoks. And so we, in the last 2 years, we've gotten pretty close. Every time, he's down at the field, we're always chatting it up and talking Okotoks and talking Bellevue and doing all that stuff. So it's kind of cool to have that connection into Okotoks and obviously the two of us being able to be pretty close from that.
Mm-hmm. When I first texted you, congrats, you mentioned how it had been a bit of an up and down start to the season. You guys started like losing, I think 7 out of 8 or something like that. And then it was win-loss for a while. Talk about those early season struggles and maybe some of the things that you learned about yourselves as a group and yourself as a player that allowed you to maybe overcome some of those obstacles. Now you're, as we speak right now, on a pretty good winning tear.
It was not a fun first few weeks. Obviously we got a pretty strong schedule to start the year. We know it's going to be tough every year, but, this year I think, I think we kind of went in and didn't necessarily expect to go in and win games. I think we kind of thought where we were at was really good and how we were playing was going to be just fine. And I think going through that was really good for us, to see how guys would react in situations like that, because, it's not all winning games. You're going to lose games. And obviously we lost. I think those first 6 games that we lost were all by one run. And I think 1 2-run, we got walked off twice in there. It was like that's so close every single time. I think it helped build us a little bit and, kind of honestly brought us together a lot. Now I said to a couple teammates yesterday, I feel like our team's got so close now when we're starting to win games again, because, we went through that. We went through probably one of the worst starts I've been a part of in college. So I think it really helped build the team character to start the year. So
was there a turning point in your eyes and made the team go, okay, let's do this?
So funny, we talked about Riley. A couple weeks ago, he was out at one of our games, and he wanted to say a few things to us beforehand. Obviously he'd been watching and following along scores and everything. So he actually came out and talked to us, and just kind of told us like to enjoy it, like it doesn't last forever. And really just go and play and have fun. And it's a kid's game, and sometimes when things aren't going our way, it's easy to, blame other things, but it's more just, bring it together. We're all going through the same thing and just go and enjoy our year, especially with so many seniors. So.
Mm-hmm. It sounds as though you're pretty excited about the next month or so and heading into the championship May, so to speak.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, especially seeing where we're at right now. Obviously we still got a couple weeks of conference here we got to handle. And then, honestly, my focus has been a lot on that. Senior day coming up this weekend, that'll be a big one for me. 5 years now. So, just kind of looking forward to each weekend as it is. And obviously we play tonight. So right now, tonight's game is what's in my brain. So.
Absolutely. On the personal side of things, I had to look at some of the other records that might be in reach. Riley's got the RBI record at 210. You're a little ways away from that. You're also just 10 behind him in walks. Are either of those in your mind at all, or is it just like let's get some wins racked up here?
Not really. I think in my head, if we go and win some games, and if I play how I think I can play, I think those are two things that, could happen and will just kind of come as a result of us winning games and playing well and doing that. So not really something I'm looking to go chasing, I guess. Those are more just going to be an outcome from us doing well. So. Mm-hmm.
Final question. What would it mean to you to take home a few championships at the end of the spring?
That would be awesome. I've kind of had a list of things, personal team wise that, I've kind of wanted to get done in college. And for me, really the one to finish is the World Series championship. So, obviously it's going to take a lot of work and, there's some really good teams out there. So, I think just going day by day and taking care of things, each game, every practice, will help us get there. And that is the ultimate goal for sure.
You're well on your way for sure, Logan. Congratulations again on the record. Congrats on the success you're having this season. Best of luck as the season progresses, and looking forward to seeing you this summer.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Next up is another familiar voice. Ben Prediger was a guest back on episode 5 of the show back in November of 2018 after he won the Baseball Alberta Midget AAA Player of the Year award. Then we caught up with him again in October 2023 after spending time with the Sylvan Lake Gulls and University of Mary. He's graduated now and has come back to Sylvan Lake to become an assistant coach with the new Gulls 19U prep team. He was one of the panelists at this week's Gulls Hot Stove, which I took in, and after the formal presentation, I had the chance to sit down with Ben to talk about the next step in his baseball journey.
Coach, thanks for doing this. Is it weird to be called coach now?
No, I kind of like it, actually. It feels very fitting for my situation right now, and I feel like it was a transition that I was kind of looking forward to at the end of my playing career when I realized that maybe going on in the game of baseball as a player wasn't an option, and I think a coaching was a very fitting situation for me. I think it was something that I was just saying tonight too, that I was destined to do because my grandpa was a professional hockey coach, and I really admired him and I looked up to him, and I knew that was something that I would like to do eventually. And having some great coaches and mentors throughout my career, I feel like that was something that was along my path, if that makes sense. And I think it's a really good way of giving back, and I think as humans, like, we just want to make an impact on one another, whether that's a friendship or a relationship. And I think this is a direct impact that you can make on an athlete's career to maybe help them make some mistakes, not make mistakes that I've made in my career, or help them through their mental game or situations that I've been through. And it's been awesome, and it's a transition that I've really accepted and I've really loved being a part of.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever think that it'd be Sylvan where you landed in the grand scheme? Because, I mean, you're a Calgary kid, right?
Yeah.
So there's probably some options available to you.
Yeah. Well, honestly, growing up in Calgary, I really had a good experience, but Sylvan kind of kick-started everything for me. I was very average the start of my college career. I was pretty average, and then my first summer at Sylvan, I think I really came into my own as a player. I think like the defense side of everything started coming because of Wyatt McKnight. He taught me all the one knee down catching stuff and all these mental aspects of it. And then hitting wise, Jason really gave me a lot of approach stuff, swing tips, stuff like that. And then playing for a crowd like that really forced me to come into my own as an athlete and as a player. And it's no, I didn't expect to come back to Sylvan, but I think it was something that was necessary, and I think it was. I'm really thankful for that to be a place that I landed at, because this place really gave me 2 of the best summers of my entire career and really helped propel my college career when I went back to UMary and played in the NCAA. So, no, I didn't expect to come back here, but I'm very grateful that I am.
I bet. Obviously, it had an impact on you on a personal level, too. What did this community mean to you during the couple of years? Because they talked about it on stage. Like, you really bought into the fan side. You bought into the community side real quick, right from the get.
Yeah, well, this community means, honestly, everything to me, too, because it's, like I was saying tonight, they are paying customers. They were people who paid their hard-earned money to come watch us play, right? And I think that's something that I really took to heart, where you don't want to let them down, you know what I mean? So then it's not just from a playing standpoint, but it's from a personal standpoint, where it's like, whether you're 0 for 4 or 3 for 4, you got to give your best face to everyone, you know what I mean? And then you got to give them an experience that they're worth coming back for, you know what I mean? And I think too, it's from the billets as well. Darcy and Lori, they like allowed me to come back and live at their place when I started coaching at St. Joe's, because I had nowhere else to stay to live yet, right? And I lived at their place for 3 months, and they took me in with open arms. And it's just the community that they have in Sylvan Lake, and I firmly believe it's like no other, because the Gulls and the community that they've built here means so much more than just baseball. It's a place that people call their summer homes. It's their second life away from college, and it's the best. It's awesome, and it's something that the least I could do is give back to them in a personal standpoint.
Talk about your coaching philosophies. Do you have any? Have you developed them yet? Or what kinds of messages are you trying to get across to those kids who are now entering the new 19U prep team?
Yeah, I think I got a few that I've really started to develop. I really see a lot of baseball through a strength and conditioning lens, because that's what I've been trained in and that's what I've learned. But also throughout the game too, I think getting your body prepared for a game day is the utmost importance. So I try to expose them to as many different things that they can to get themselves ready to play, whatever makes them feel the most powerful, the fastest, the most explosive. But then also I really, especially with my catchers, I talk a lot more of the mental side of the game, because I feel like catching is a lot more cognitive than it is physical, right? And I feel like there's certain leadership aspects that come with catching, because when you think about it, everyone on the field is looking at you. Like, you are the tone setter. You know what I mean? And I feel like my biggest catching philosophy for coaching would be a leader, like be vocal on the field. Even if you make the wrong call, be the loudest one to say it, because more often than not, especially in high school baseball, people are too scared to make the wrong call. But as long as you're saying something, that's a step in the right direction, right? And I think, and the last thing too is it's okay to fail. Like it is, especially in the game of baseball, it is okay to fail, because it's going to happen, but it's how you respond to it, right? And I'm sure people have heard that time and time over again, but what does that really mean, right? Like, are you going to feel sorry for yourself? Are you going to be poor me? Or are you going to be, hit me the ball, like give me the next play, next at bat, throw me another fastball, I dare you, you know what I mean? And I think those are kind of the three things that I really stand for, is just getting your body right, being a leader and being resilient, and how you overcome failure defines you.
How cool is it looking back? Because the first time you and I chatted would have been about 2018, I want to say. You're just fresh off of winning a Baseball Alberta award. And here we are 8 years later talking about Coach Pred. Is that kind of a weird, like, for me it's weird because I feel old, but from in your mind, what's that like, seeing the kind of the full circle element of being able to go from the player to being the inspiration for some of these young players?
Oh, it's a really cool feeling, and it does feel like a very full circle moment. Like, I feel like my career, my life has kind of taken a turn for the best as well, you know, and yeah, it's just interesting because I remember the last time I was on Alberta Dugout Stories, you said episode 5, and I was like, episode 5? No way. Like, because I remember the first time you called me, I was in high school, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be on a podcast. This is so sick. Like, this is insane. And to look back on the last time I was on it from this date, that was, I don't remember the exact episode, but you're over
230 now.
230. Like, oh my gosh. So yeah, it felt like I was almost dating myself too, but I guess I'm still very young in my coaching career. But it's a neat feeling, and it's really, really cool to reminisce on the glory days, I guess you could call it, you know. And I think that was what a good part of tonight was too, is just reminiscing on the good old days of what was, and looking forward to what is and what's going to be.
Speaking of what is to be, how good is that team that you've got coaching now? You said you made some tough decisions, so clearly there's some talent that you guys have under your sleeves here.
Yeah, we got some veteran guys, you could say, in terms of the high school scope. We got some junior, senior guys who are very big leaders, and gap year guys as well who play a very big role for us. And then we also got some younger guys that are there to learn and there to grow and play and surround themselves with people who are better than they are, just so we can put our best foot forward for years to come. And I think we're very, very talented offensively and defensively, and pitching, it'll come. And I think that we are a force to be reckoned with here in Alberta, like, honestly. And I do think in a few years' time, like, we just played our inaugural game and we had a heck of a series against Vauxhall, and I think it's only going to get better from here. It's our first year. We're breaking new ground. It's the first inaugural season of the Gulls Prep, you know what I mean? And I really do believe that in years to come, in the future, I believe that we're going to be a staple program, not only in Alberta but in Canada as well. I think this is St. Joe's. It's an amazing academy, and I think they have some better things that we had at my college, you know, and we have access to resources that you don't get a lot of places, right? And it's a great experience there because it's during school hours. You get all your work in during the day, every single day, whether you like it or not, because it is technically a class, right? But yes, you have to sign up and go through the process, but you get that work in every single day, whether you like it or not. And I think that your hand is forced to get better there, and you're surrounded by some really great people, some really great minds, like Jason Chatwood, the WCBL Coach of the Year, and he's, in my opinion, the best coach I've ever been around, and he's a mentor to me now. And it's I think, like I said, in the future it's only gonna get better because we're still testing things out, and we're still figuring who we are as an organization. But I just think 5 years from now it's gonna be wicked.
Be a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
Then, I'm sure.
Hopefully. We'll see. Yeah, I think so.
Well, and with somebody like you and at the helm, it's not going to be too far. Final question for you. What's kind of do you have a goal in mind? Like, would you love to coach at the college level down south? Would you want to see what you could do at a pro level if that comes to fruition? Like, have you thought that part through as far as the baseball journey is concerned?
Definitely. I definitely have. I think in my career, I want to stick into I do love strength and conditioning a ton, and I love baseball. So if I can make that happen on a professional level, I have thought about the college scope, but I mean, in terms of strength and conditioning, and on that side, you usually get paired with other teams, and I wouldn't be opposed to the idea of that, but I love the game of baseball, and I love developing athletes, and I'm really darn good at it, and I think that's something that I want to stay with, and just ask Matt Kootenay how he got this offseason. We got him right, you know what I mean? And I think hopefully in the future, maybe 5-6 years down the road, I'll be with a professional team somewhere doing their strength and conditioning, but I also think my background baseball knowledge provides a whole nother aspect, because I would be able to talk with athletes on a deeper level than just how their body works, you know, and I think I've been in the game, and I think being around college guys, I'm going to be around the WCBL girls this summer as well, and I'm gonna be on the bench for that too, and I think that just provides a whole nother aspect to myself as a coach, and I think it's at the end of the day, you're always building a resume, right? And I think just exposing myself to as many athletes as I can, and I think it's just, I would love to be in a professional sector, college, maybe, if it was just a strictly baseball position, but I don't know how often that comes around, but we'll see. But I think I'd be really fortunate for any opportunity that presents itself in terms of that. But I know no matter where I'm at, those athletes are going to get better, and I know they're going to get bigger, faster, stronger, and more resilient, better mentally. And I just look forward to what I have now and what's to come.
Look forward to continuing watching the journey unfold for you, Ben. Really appreciate you taking the time. Thanks so much for joining us here.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. That was awesome. Good to see you again.
And we'll wrap things up now with Cochrane's Saul Searle. The middle infielder was the product of Strive Baseball in Calgary before moving on to a redshirt season at Williston State. He wanted some more playing time, so found a new home with the College of the Redwoods in the California Community College Baseball Association. He's caught the attention of coaches at Clark University in the NAIA, which is where he's going to be heading next season. This is our way of getting to know Saul Searle. Saul, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
First year at Redwoods. Walk us through how things have been going over the course of this spring.
Yeah, the spring's been great. Definitely an improvement on last year. It's been rocky. It's for sure had its up and downs, but positives overall and an improvement from last year, so that's all that matters.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're playing ball in Cali, which has got to be a little bit different than playing in Cochrane or the Calgary area this time of year, eh?
Yeah, for sure. Eye-opening.
Absolutely. Talk us through that transition, because out of high school, you went to Williston, redshirted, and then you end up at Redwoods. Walk us through sort of your expectations going in and what you have learned about yourself as you've embarked upon your first full playing season in college baseball.
Yeah, so for sure. My first year at Williston, where I redshirted, was really eye-opening. I thought I was going into college baseball in the U.S. prepared. Thought I knew what I was in for, but I was nowhere near. I was undersized. I didn't get my work done in the classroom, so took a lot of maturing, which that redshirt year was really good for. I ended up putting on about 30 pounds and then turned into a completely different ball player. And now I've won the starting shortstop job at a school in California. So, yeah.
Looking back on the journey, are there things that you could go back, and if you could go back in time on, would you have changed as far as your prep and the things that you maybe took for granted, say back in Cochrane or Calgary, and you're like, maybe I should have done this a little bit differently?
Yeah, I was definitely undersized. I undervalued the weight room. I didn't like the weight room in high school, and now it's my favorite place to be, but I would definitely prioritize eating, getting in the weight room, and doing your schoolwork, just maturing overall. I would recommend the gap year out of high school.
As you go through that maturation process, how cool is it to see how far you've come in that change in your game?
Oh, it's night and day. It just speaks volumes to the people that I've been around, and they've taught me everything. So they just set me on the right path, and I've seen myself grow tremendously in so many aspects of life.
You've still got a few weeks left here in the season at Redwoods. What kinds of things do you have in mind? What kinds of things are you working on to get yourself prepared for that next step?
Yeah, I'd for sure like to work on my fielding and get that fielding percentage up over these next few weeks, as it's sitting at a decent number, but I'd for sure like to get it higher.
Pretty cool journey as well. Now the next step for you is already known, as you've signed your letter of commitment to Clark University. Walk us through the process in finding that school.
Yeah, so I collected as much video as I could from this fall and last fall, put it all together and posted it on both Twitter and field level, and got seen by the coaches there at Clark University, Anthony Razzo in particular. He reached out. We had a few great phone calls, and that's that.
What was it about that school that made you go, yeah, this is the one I want to chase?
Well, I really liked those few phone calls I had with Anthony Razzo, and the infield work there is something I really want to be a part of, and their shortstop graduating next year, so I hope that I can go in there and win a job.
Is that a big focal point for you, is making sure that you either get that starting job or make it very difficult for somebody else to take that job away from you?
Yeah, I want to go in there and be the guy as best I can right away. I would love to start day one.
What kinds of things do you need to work on in your eyes to get yourself to that point where you're going to make it real hard on the coaching staff to turn you down for that starting shortstop job?
Two things that I really need to work on myself are my speed and my quick twitch, and then also my mind as well. I'd like to be able to slow the game down, as that's something that I sometimes struggle with.
How much of that comes down to reps in your eyes and getting those opportunities to maybe make a couple of, whether it's have a couple of failures once in a while, that kind of thing?
Oh, all of it, 100% of it. Just quality practice can bring you a long way, and that's what I used to rely on and remind myself that I'm good at what I do and that I have no need to worry.
Absolutely. Let's get into your baseball past here a little bit. Saul, you're originally from Cochrane. How'd you get into baseball in the first place?
Yeah, so my parents just threw me into every sport they could, and baseball is the one that stuck.
In your eyes, what was it about baseball that went above and beyond for you?
What might have done it was, honestly, my dad coached me at such a young age, and I just loved that aspect of it, and I just kept at it and kept getting better and better.
Whose posters were up on your wall as a kid?
It's a little bit strange, but I was a huge Ryan Goins fan.
Not strange at all. Although that team, when you've got Bautista and Edwin and Russell Martin and Josh Donaldson, I mean, I was a fan of Goins, but I would have never. A, where did you find that poster? And B, is it still up in your room?
I think it still is up in my room. And I believe my dad and I got it in Dunedin watching spring training one year.
That is pretty cool. So take us back in time a little bit. When did it actually turn for you, where it went from, hey, this is a fun game and all, to, hey, maybe I can chase this dream a little bit?
Well, I was a part of a Stroud Baseball Academy out of Calgary, coached by Andrew McLean. And I think he was the one who really did it. I would say I was maybe grade 11, and college baseball was a hope, but it seemed like a distant thing, something that was far away, but he kept boosting my confidence and encouraging me, and eventually it became a reality.
Talk us through Strive for a minute, because not a lot of people know about it, but what did that program mean to you first off, and what did it do for you, not just as a ball player, but as a human being as well?
Oh, Stroud Baseball was awesome. It was probably the best thing I could have been a part of. Sadly, it's no longer around, but it stemmed from a few guys straying away from the junior dinos at the time, and Sean Foster started the program. His son Alex was part of it as well, and then a bunch of us just joined. We found head coach Shane Dawson for a little bit, who's now up in Edmonton, and then shortly after that, Andrew McLean took it over, and we played American Legion, and it was just the greatest time ever.
Looking back on the young career to this point, do you have any favorite memories or moments where you had to take that step back and go, man, I can't believe I get to do this?
In high school, it must have been, I had a walk-off double against Cranbrook that was pretty unbelievable, and I still think about to this day. But the moment that might top that is the first college hit last year. That was a great feeling.
I can only imagine. On the flip side of that, we know that baseball is a game of failures. So what's that one challenge or that one hurdle that you've had to overcome over your young career that you're super proud of that you were able to get over it and move on?
Oh, man, it's the rough seasons I've had, especially last year. The lack of success was really tough. But seeing a sports psychologist over the summer and just learning from it and growing my mind has been huge, and I'm definitely proud of myself for doing that.
Absolutely. They talk a lot about the game and the different percentages depending on who you ask about the physical versus mental, and almost to a person. It's always been that mental grind, the challenges of failure and all that kind of stuff. When you think about that and what you've learned about yourself, what do you like telling other players or other young athletes about that grind and getting over some of the hurdles of failure?
Well, you're set up to fail in the game of baseball, and you got to remind yourself that you can't dwell on one failure. Otherwise, they'll just keep piling on. And I've made that mistake in the past. I'm guilty of that. So if you're able to let it go, the game becomes a little easier.
Absolutely. A few fun ones here before we let you go, Saul. First off, what's your favorite food at the ballpark when you're there as a fan?
Oh, I'll go with probably some nachos.
Now, do you have just cheese on top, or you got salsa, you got guac? What's the toppings?
Give me everything you can. I'll take anything on it.
You hold no prisoners on that front. So do you have to have something, especially if you've got a hot jalapeno salsa with you? What's your drink of choice with that then?
Drink of choice? I'll go with a classic Coca-Cola.
Well done. I like that one a lot. What is your favorite park that you've ever played in?
Favorite park I've ever played in? The Gull Stadium's tough to beat.
It's pretty beautiful out there. I got to say, Alberta is doing their ballparks real well lately. So kudos to Sylvan Lake for sure. And finally, what is your go-to walk-up tune?
This year I'm doing Your Love by the Outfield, inspired by Charlie Blackmon.
Nicely done. That's a great one. Fantastic. All right, a couple of standard ones we ask across the board here on the show, Saul. First off, let's say you get to come back to Calgary or Cochrane and you're talking to those young kids who are just starting out on their baseball journey and they're looking up to you. They want to be where you're at now. What's that piece of advice that you want to impart upon them?
Stick with it and have fun with it. It's still a game at the end of the day, and you're meant to have fun.
Couldn't agree more. And the final one, what does a game of baseball mean to you?
Oh, man, I don't want to say the cheesy answer everything, but it's true. Baseball has arguably been the biggest teacher in my life, taught me the most valuable life lessons on and off the field. So I'll stick with the cheesy answer and say everything.
Hey, cheese on the nachos and cheese and answers, I'm all for it. Saul, really appreciate you taking the time to join us here. Congratulations on all the success you've had at this point, continued success at Redwoods and then on to Clark and beyond. And again, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Thanks again to Logan Grant, Ben Prediger, and Saul Searle for joining us this week, and thanks to all of you for downloading and listening. If you like this or any other episode, make sure to leave us a rating and review on your app, as that'll help spread the word about this show. A tip of the cap, as always, to our Platinum supporters for all they do for us and for the game in our province, the Okotoks Dogs, Western Canadian Baseball League, and Under the Lights Sports and Entertainment's generosity helps us cover costs like web hosting fees and travel. If you'd like to join our roster of sponsors, head to albertadugoutstories.com/supporters. Until next time, thank you for all of your support online, on social, and on air of Alberta Dugout Stories.